Welcome to Yoga with Dagny. For today's practice, if you could have a chair, 2 yoga bricks, a belt, and a blanket, that would be awesome. And we're going to begin with our blanket folded. If you don't have a blanket, don't worry about it. I'm just using it to give myself a little bit of a lift in my seat. Let's just sit down and we'll begin in Sukhasana, cross-legged pose. So just cross your legs and see that the shins are crossed right in the middle as best you can, and then settle the thighs down. If you don't have a blanket, you can put your 2 yoga blocks together and sit on that. That would work perfectly fine. Yes, so I'm happy you're here with me. And the action that we're going to be working with today is going to be about lifting the chest up and lifting the heart up. So we're going to locate this like 2 inches here on the upper bicep. So this little space right here. And we're going to just get in tune with that. So just kind of find that place on yourself and just maybe touch it a little bit. We're going to be using this little place to energetically lift up. We're going to energetically lift that up in order to help lift the chest. So you can even bring your hands out to the sides and maybe put your fingers down on the earth and press down a little bit through the thumb and index finger into the earth beside you. And feel that lift up in the top 2 inches of the bicep, which I'll be calling sometimes the upper inner arm. And just feel how that brings a lift and an openness into your chest. As you do that, you can bring the back of your armpit forward a little bit and broaden through your collarbones, and just close your eyes and settle in as you're pressing down through the thumb and index finger and lifting that inner upper arm up. And then just take your hands to your heart center and keep that lift that you created as you close your eyes and just settle into this practice that we're here together. Maybe just take a breath or 2 in through the nose and out through the nose, nice and deep as you inhale, feeling your belly fill up with breath. And as you exhale, just letting go of anything that is not right here and right now in this moment. So inhale and just calling yourself into absolute presence. And exhaling, landing here in your body. And with our practice today, as we're bringing our hearts lifted front and center, we're going to be creating and really actually just getting in touch with the stillness inside of ourselves and the peace inside of ourselves, and cultivating that so that we can send that out to anyone that you know who may need that peace. Really breathing in and beginning to create that inner stillness, that inner place of peace. And exhaling it out to anyone, anything in need. Good, and let's just take a couple of breaths. Let your eyes just settle open and interlace your hands and press your palms forward. Plug those arm bones in, lifting those upper inner arms into the sockets, and then taking the arms up. And just pressing up through the index finger and thumb toward the ceiling. Nice big breath in, and then exhale, releasing the arms down. And then we're going to just take a brick behind us, put it right behind your back, and just change the cross of your legs for a moment. Settling into Sukhasana on this side. And then we're just going to take our left arm behind us to the brick and our right arm to the outside of the knee. As you press down into the brick behind you, lift that spine up, lifting up that upper inner arm. And on the exhalation, just revolve yourself. You can gently pull on the knee to turn yourself toward your left shoulder, allowing your front ribs to settle back as you inhale, growing nice and tall. And as you exhale, just revolve a little bit further. One more breath like that. And then a big breath in, getting taller, and exhale slowly back to the center. And a big breath in on the exhale, take the right hand all the way behind onto your brick, left one to the outer knee, pressing down into the feet and sitting bones. Inhale and grow tall. Exhale, pulling up on that upper 2 inches of the arms to lift the chest as you revolve. Pressing down to grow and inhale. Get tall and go a little further. Stay nice and broad in your chest if you can. One more big breath here. And then a big breath in, get tall. Exhale slowly back to the center. And then just taking the legs straight out to the front for a moment. Press down into the blanket beside you and lift up those upper inner arms as you press the thighs down. As you reach out through your heels, let your toes go up. Take the belly back to the spine and just find a nice big tall lift through the spine. And then releasing the arms, see if you can maintain that. Clasp your hands the uncustomary way, pressing your palms forward, lifting the upper inner arms, take the arms up. And big breath in on the exhale, lift up, press up through the thumbs and index finger side of your hand even more. Soften the tops of your shoulders, lift the heart. And then exhale, release. Good. And then we're just going to practice coming into bending the knees here. And then see if you can just come into a squat. And then press into the feet and come on up. Good. So we'll take Tadasana. You can move your blanket aside. And we're going to take Tadasana for a moment. Have your belt close by because we're going to be adding in Gomukhasana arms. So maybe even for starters, you can put the belt over your right shoulder just so it's there when we need it. And taking Tadasana, bring your heels together, your big toe mounds together. If that's challenging for you, you can have the feet slightly apart. That's completely all right. And then pressing down into the feet, lift up through the inner ankles, through the inner legs, rolling the inner thighs back, dropping down the buttocks to the heels. And then beginning to find that lift where we're lifting up through the breastbone. We're lifting up through that upper inner arm, broadening through our collarbones. And just coming into mountain pose, really lifting the crown of your head, connecting all the way up through the crown of your head into the cosmos, allowing the spine to become completely open from head all the way down through tail. And then bringing the arms out to the sides. And let's just first roll the palms completely open so that the thumbs roll back, and inhale the arms up. reaching up through the arms, and then exhaling them back out to the sides. And then we're going to turn the thumbs forward and down. And you're going to take your left arm all the way across the body. So you can even see it go all the way across, and then just begin to creep it up any amount. Roll the right one up so the thumb goes back, and inhale it up. And then when you're ready, just drop it down to tickle between the shoulder blades. If you can't reach one hand to the other, you can just walk your hand up the belt and down the belt. And just stand up nice and straight, lifting the crown of the head, trying not to keep that neck moving forward, but crown straight up. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale and lift up through the right arm, lift up through the left arm, and exhale, release both arms down. And then just taking the belt to the other side. Once again, arms out to the sides. And palms face down to begin with. We're going to take the right arm, actually first turn the right thumb forward and down and take the arm across the back. So there's an internal rotation happen there. And then creep that arm up toward the belt any amount. Rolling open through the left arm, we're going to inhale it up. And then dropping it down to walk down the belt. So you're walking up the belt with the lower arm, down the belt with the upper arm. And just trying to find a meeting place with the two arms. Yes, and there's a lifting up through the upper elbow, a lifting down through the lower elbow. And then inhaling up through the upper arm, up through the lower arm, and then exhale, releasing both arms down to the side. Excellent. So I'm just going to move my chair aside for a moment. And have your belt handy if you would like to use it, because we will be using those arms again. If you'd rather creep your hand up and down your shirt, you can, or if you can make the contact, either way is fine. But we're going to step our feet apart, probably so that the palms are about over your ankles, both feet facing forward to begin with. And let's internally rotate the hands. So we're going to turn the thumbs forward and down. And we're just going to reach back to find the elbows for starters. So reach back and find the elbows. And then we're going to turn our right toes in and roll the left ones out. And then turn those back toes in a little more and turn the hips to face forward. So that you're really drawing your back hip forward and your front hip back. And you're almost spreading your mat with your feet and lifting the chest up. Deep breath in. On the exhale, we're going to come forward with a nice long straight spine, continuing to draw that front hip forward, continuing to find that lift through the upper 2 inches of your arms to keep the chest lifted. And we're just going to come about halfway for now here. Looking a little bit forward. And then we're going to inhale, coming up. Turn those toes in. Turn them in a little more. Rolling the opposite foot all the way out. Taking the hips around, back hip coming forward, front hip coming back. Grounding through the back foot. Coming into a little back bend here. Big breath in. Both arms or legs are straight. And then coming forward, keeping that chest lifted by lifting the upper inner arm up. And just coming forward, keep drawing front hip back, back hip forward, inner upper arm up, and even looking forward a little bit. Good. And then When you're ready, press into the feet, inhale up to a little back bend. Take that tail down, turn the front foot in, and we'll just step the feet apart, and back together, and release the arms for a moment into Tadasana. All right, and then stepping apart once again. We're going to do the same thing. You can keep your hands right on your hips for a minute. Turn your back toes in, roll your front toes out, take the hips around. And then if you're going to use the belt, you're going to put it over the shoulder opposite of the leg that's forward. Let's bring the arms out to the side. Roll the palms open, inhale the arms up. And you're gonna drop your left foot is forward, so you're gonna drop the right arm down. The belt should be over the right arm if you're using it. Left arm out to the side, internal rotation, taking it across and coming into your Gomukhasana arms. Once you have them, take that back hip forward and the front hip back and lift the chest up. Lift those upper inner arms toward the armpit. And then when you're ready, we're going to come forward. Any amount that you can, going toward parallel with the floor, continuing to take the front hip back and the back hip forward. Strong in both legs, straight in both legs if you can. When you're ready, we're going to inhale and come back up. Lift up through the top arm, lift up through the bottom arm. Release the arms out to the side, turning the hips forward, and then turning your back hip in and rolling your front one out again. And then dialing the hips forward once again. If you're going to use the belt, it's going to be over your left arm this time. Arms out, rolling them open, inhaling up. Exhale, dropping that left arm down to go between the shoulder blades. Opposite arm out to the side, thumb goes forward and down, comes across, reaches up. Try to either get your shirt or your fingers or the belt. And then lift the crown up, lift the chin up, lift the chest up, dial that back hip forward, front hip back, and then start forward with a long straight spine. Squeeze the outer hips in together to grow the spine more. Keep lifting right where the armpit and the chest come together. Come to 90 degrees if you can, keep breathing. And then inhaling to come back up. Top arm comes up, bottom arm comes up. Exhale, releasing the arms. Turn both feet to face forward. And step the feet together. Awesome. Roll the shoulders out a little bit. Let's roll the wrists out a few times just to open that wrist joints. Pulling them outward, pausing, rolling them inward, and pausing. Okay, so next we're going to work on taking reverse namaste arms. So I'm going to show you from this direction so you can see. So the arms are going to come out to the side, the thumbs are going to go forward and down, and you're going to come and see if you can touch first the middle fingers together and maybe then the other fingers. And as you come together, you're going to just see if you can move it up the back at all. So we're just going to work toward bringing the fingers together to their mates. Meanwhile, you're still lifting that inner upper arm up into the socket. You're working the arm up the back any amount. If this does not work for you, I'll show you, you can just internally rotate, reach for the elbow and reach for the opposite elbow. So that's a variation you could also do for this. So either way, finding that as you're in Tadasana, pressing down through the feet, lifting up through the crown. There's a reaching down of the elbows, a lifting up of that inner upper arm. And then when you're ready, we're going to very slowly release that into Tadasana. And then stepping your feet apart, taking the feet a little wider than we did last time. Let's see if we can grab a brick and put it down, maybe 2 bricks if you know your head doesn't go too close to the floor, because we're going to bring our head to the floor. So a brick or 2 bricks, coming nice and wide, toes are pointed slightly in, heels are out, legs are as straight as you can comfortably have them. And you can always use your chair too. If you don't fold forward far enough to get to a brick, you can always put your head on a chair, because we're going to rest our head. So it should be a little bit forward of where your feet are. We're going to bring the arms out to the side. Well, actually, let's bring them to the waist first. We'll come forward, down, and in once before we come in with our arms behind our back. So just come down, bring your fingertips to the floor if they will reach. Then we can see where our brick should be for our head. And just begin to walk your hands back. As you do that, keep the spine nice and long and straight, and begin to descend the head. You might want your brick nice and high. You might widen if you want, and maybe come a little lower. But find a place, if you're like, my head is nowhere near the ground, you might take your chair for your head, which is completely fine. But once you're into this posture, you want to be grounding through the outer edges of your feet, lifting through the inner legs, and your hands should be facing forward. If the elbows bend, the hands should be beneath the elbows, elbows in line with the shoulders. Just notice where your head can rest on that brick or chair, and take a couple of breaths. And then straightening the arms and walking them forward without disturbing your brick. Let's heel toe in a little bit. Bring the hands to the tops of your thighs and inhale up with a long straight spine, stepping the feet together. Coming into Tadasana. And we're going to do it again, this time bringing our hands into reverse namaste, or getting hold of the elbows opposite way of last time if you're clasping the elbows. So a nice wide stance again, arms out to the side, thumbs rolling forward and down, bringing them back, finding the middle fingertips first and then the others, and beginning to walk the hands up the back so that the fingers come together and maybe the palm will come together. Drawing the shoulder blades down the back, but lifting the inner upper arm up. If this hurts too much on the wrists or anywhere, then you will just get hold of the elbows. When you're ready, long straight spine coming forward. Forward, 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 walking those hands up the back any amount and bringing your head to rest on your support. Maybe once you're down, you can walk the hands up even more. Maybe you can find the palm a little bit or the knuckles. Straightening those legs, relaxing the neck, keeping the shoulder blades nice and firm on your back, feeling the inner upper arm still lifting up, and breathing. When you're ready to come up, you're going to press into the feet, bring the head forward, and come up with a long, straight spine. Slowly release the hands to the sides, letting the wrists unfurl. Heel toe in a little bit. And step your feet together, mountain pose. Feeling the effects on the shoulders, on the wrists, on the arms, on the legs, and releasing. Okay. So next we are going to come and we're going to do a little bit of work with our chair. So bring your chair right here. And before we come to the chair, we're going to bring the knees together, spread the feet apart, and put either one brick or two bricks down beneath your buttocks and just come into hero pose for a moment. Just coming into hero pose for a moment can be a stretch on the quads sometimes. So just feeling that. And then if you can bring your fingertips down beside you, maybe just practice walking the hands back any amount. I'm going to show you this from the side so you can see what I'm doing here. But I'm kind of trying to keep my knees together. I'm just trying to walk back a little bit, just to get a little stretch through the front thighs. Meanwhile, I'm keeping my tailbone pointing right between my knees. Nice and long lower back, and lifting again through that inner upper arm to lift my chest. Head straight back, but not dropping back. And then just coming up. Good. Now, if this was too much on your quads, when we come into this next little thing, you can do this one leg out at a time, one leg bent and one leg out. We're going to take a second brick and put it up on our chair at the medium height for our head. We're going to sit right on our brick. And again, you can bring one leg forward if it's too much on your legs to be like this. Either way is fine. So either one leg forward or both legs back. And you're just going to walk yourself back, lengthening your tailbone between your knees. You should hit the back of your chair right at the bottom edge of your shoulder blades. And then reach back and find that brick for your head. You can lengthen that tailbone toward the knees and find a sweet spot here where the head is supported and the chest is opening. And just bring the arms out to the sides here for a moment into a nice little Supta Virasana. And take a couple of breaths here, right into the heart center. Finding a little bit of rest and a little bit of ease. Now, if you're having one leg forward as you do this, come slowly up and switch legs to bring the other one forward. If you're comfortable here, just stay here for a moment. Just taking a couple minutes to really open the quads, open the chest. If you're very comfortable here too, you might take the arms up, get hold of the elbows, and bring the arms back over the head. You could always do that too. Maybe even straightening the arms back onto the chair. See if that feels good, reaching through the fingertips. When you're ready to come out, you're going to just press into the earth and come up with the head nice and centered. And then coming up for a chair assisted camel pose. Come back so that your buttocks are kind of grazing the chair. Your knees can be hip width apart, and just start with your hands back on the chair seat and take a moment to ground down through your shins and through your toenails and lift the chest up and back, really bringing this armpit chest up, feeling the lift in the inner upper arms. And maybe you can reach back for the, the chair legs here and lift up through the heart and chest more. And maybe you might be able to walk the hands down the chair legs, staying very lifted in your thighs, lifted in your hip points, keeping the thighs vertical as you can, keeping the tail moving down, and just making your way down any amount with that. If you get any crunching in that lower back, walk your hands back up and just focus on the lift and openness of the chest. If you're feeling comfortable and your neck allows it, you can bring the head back. Not necessary. When you're ready to come out, walk your hands back up to the chair seat and come up with your head nice and center. If you brought it up, come forward and just sit down with your brick between right between your feet, and just sit there for a moment. And then just drop the head down forward for a moment. And then just rolling it toward the right shoulder, rolling it up toward heaven, not dropping so much back. Dropping the ear to the left shoulder, forward and down. And then inhaling to the center, up. And dropping chin to chest, rolling opposite direction. As you roll back, it's an up and back, no crunching in the neck. And ear to opposite side. Slowly forward and down. And then inhaling up to the center. Okay, so from here, we're going to come into a little gate pose with the support of our chair. So we're going to take the leg out to the side, rolling that leg open. Chair should be within reaching distance. With this opposite leg, you're going to be lifting this hip up and taking it in. This opposite hip is going to be cinching in and up right in the back of the hip. And then we're just going to creep, keeping that chest lifted, creep our hand over any amount, continuing to cinch the outer hips in toward each other. The standing leg hip is moving back as it cinches in, and this front hip is kind of moving forward as it cinches in. And then opposite arm out. As you're creeping down, begin to take it up. Feel that lifting up in the inner upper arms as you go a little further. Gently moving that left side of your torso forward as you go, looking up. And maybe reaching just to the point where you would start to reach over. Roll your heart up. And then inhale to come up. And exhale, gently bend and release. So you could either just turn around, or you can move your chair to the opposite side. And then again, just bringing the foot under. Getting nice and tall with your standing leg hip. Thinking about lifting it up and in, rolling this front leg out so the knee goes straight up. And cinching that hip in, reaching out through the thumb or index finger on both sides as you lift the inner upper arm up. And beginning to creep yourself as you continue to cinch the hips in. The standing leg hip slightly moving back as the other hip moves forward. Both go in, reaching up as you creep. I'm slowly creeping my hand on the chair seat. Once I've extended myself here, I'm taking my underside of the torso forward a little bit, looking up, really beginning to reach over, reaching through the thumb and index finger, lifting the inner upper arm, outer hips in, breathing. And then inhaling to come on up. And slowly bending that knee, bringing it forward and down. Awesome. Okay, from here, we're just gonna do a little chair dog and chair up dog. So we're gonna come on up. First, I'm gonna come forward into Ardha Uttanasana. My hands are turned out. I'm grounding through my thumbs and index fingers. My arms are straight by pressing down into the thumb and index finger and lifting that inner upper arm up. And then I'm just gonna step back a little bit. Toes turned in. And then pressing into the thumb and index finger, lifting the inner upper arm. I'm gonna press back into a downward facing dog. You can play with your distance from the chair so that your hips are gonna land, you know, pretty much over your feet. And you're pressing thumb and index finger into the chair, lifting your inner upper arms. And you're lifting that upper part of the legs too. The tops of the thighs are lifting up and moving back so that you get really long and soft in your neck. And just take a couple of breaths there. And then when you're ready, we're gonna inhale, then we're gonna come forward, then we're gonna come into a plank pose so that the butt drops. And then slightly bend the elbows, bring the chest through, press into the thumb and index finger, and lift the chest here for an up dog. There's a straightening of the legs, the chest coming forward through the arms. Big breath in. And then when you're ready, exhale back into a downward facing dog. And just stretch that out. Taking a breath or two there. And then look up at the chair and just gently walk forward. And once you're in Ardha Uttanasana, hands to the tops of the thighs. Inhale up with a nice long straight spine. Awesome. All right, so next, I'm gonna bring my 2 bricks down and put them just a little ways away from the chair. And I'm going to come and put my legs up on the chair. Actually, let me see. You know what? We're gonna come in without the bricks under us first. So just come, put your legs up on the chair. And then you're gonna kind of press into, you can even do this with 1 brick. You're gonna press into the chair and put the brick right under your sacrum. So you can see it's kind of right from the top of the hip down. So it's not in the lower back region here. And this might be as high as you want to go with that. When you're here, you're rolling the shoulders under. And then you can bring the legs up. Now, if you would like more of an inversion, you can press into your feet and move the brick to the medium height. Finding the stability there, rolling the shoulders under and bringing the legs up. And you could always decide you want to take it even a step further and bring the brick under at the higher height. This one's a little more tricky to find the stability, but you're gonna really roll those shoulders under again. And then if you feel stable, bring the legs up. So you can decide if you want to go low, medium, or high. In any case, you want to keep your chin straight forward and lift the legs up. So if there's any discomfort in the lower back, it means it's just not quite in the right spot. So finding the right place for the brick is very important. And just breathe there for a minute. To roll those shoulders under, you can again focus on that lift of the inner upper arm. You can think about the back of the armpit, where the armpit meets the arm, moving forward. Chin to the sternal notch. You can practice maybe opening here if you want to, stretching the inner legs, reaching through the heels, or just keeping the legs up. You can bring the feet to the chair back and come into an open Tadasana here. And just let that energy flow from the hips toward the heart. And just take a couple more big breaths here. Just coming into presence. Tuning into your heart center. Tuning into the stillness that you're creating within yourself. As you breathe. And then whatever level on the brick you're in, you're going to draw the knees together. You're going to lift up and you're going to slowly take your brick out, unfurling the shoulders a little bit, coming into a landing. We're going to rest with our feet up on the chair. So just finding a place that's comfortable for you, where you might have to move a little away so that your calves can be fully supported. It's nice if where the bend of the knee is sort of at the lip of the chair, and just take a minute to lengthen your neck and extend the spine and let the arms just come to rest. See that your head is resting right in the center of the skull. And let's just do a few big breaths where you're inhaling, and as you inhale, you're feeling a deep expansion through your chest. So as you inhale, you feel the ribs spreading out, the belly blossoming, and the breath rising all the way up to the collarbones. And as you exhale, everything just gently falls back toward the core, or back toward the center of your being. Breathing in peace and stillness to your mind, to your body. Breathing out peace and stillness to those you love, to your community, to the world. Breathing in a sense of spaciousness and openness and vastness to yourself. Breathing out that openness and spaciousness and vastness, the suffering for the world. And as you inhale and spread the ribs, you're just breathing in the field of infinite possibilities for peace, for healing. And as you exhale, you're sending that limitlessness out into the world. The limitlessness of all possibilities for peace. And as you exhale, you're just letting the mind surrender and relax even more. Letting go of the limbs, fingers, toes. Releasing your entire body. And as you rest there, I'm just going to read a little bit from Sri Dayamata. Within each one of us is a temple of stillness that permits no intrusion of the world's turmoil. Whatever may be going on around us, when we enter that sanctuary of silence in our souls, we feel the blessed presence of love, and we receive peace and strength. So maybe just taking your hands to rest on your belly, and as you inhale deep into your belly, bringing in that peace and that strength. And as you exhale, just sending that peace and that strength out into the world. Seeing it go to the farthest corners. Strengthening anyone who needs it. Inhaling into that stillness within. And exhaling that stillness out into the world. And with your next inhalation, gathering breath, and with your next exhalation, just taking your knees towards your chest. Very carefully, when you're ready with an exhalation, just roll onto your side to press up to find a seat. Coming either into cross-legged pose or hero's pose. Any pose, or even sitting on your chair, any pose where your spine can be straight and long and open, creating an open conduit between heaven and earth. An upright pole of integrity, openness, and peace. And then drawing your hands to your heart when you're ready. Gently bowing your head to your heart, to that temple, that inner temple of stillness that doesn't move, from wholeness. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace. Peace in our hearts and peace in the world. Namaste. I want to thank you for showing up and allowing me to guide you through this practice. May the peace that you're creating within go out 10 million fold into the world. See you next time with Yoga with Dagny. I will look forward to it.